Hi, good evening, guys, and thank you for joining in on this special broadcast on a Wednesday. Now, it's Wednesday, the 4th of August 2021, and tonight we'll be streaming on multiple platforms. We are streaming on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. So if you're watching from YouTube tonight, I'd like you to smash the subscribe button so that you can be updated on the next topic that I'll be covering. You'd also notice that I am in a different location tonight as to my normal location. I'm actually in Gqeberha tonight, Port Elizabeth. Yeah, so, and that's where I'm doing this special broadcast from. So normally my Sunday service is from another location. Now, tonight, we will be looking at the story that broke on Twitter on Sunday, where the celebrity couple Somizi and Mohale took their dirty laundry into the public domain. And as I always say, you never do your laundry in public. Now, I'm not one for celebrity gossip, not at all. I'm not even interested in their lives. But I think this is one of those topics that we need to look at, and we need to talk about it, because this to me is clearly a toxic relationship, and toxic relationships is not a good thing because our mental health is affected by it. You as a person is affected by it. I mean, your relationship with friends and family will be affected by it. So I think it's one of those things that we definitely need to discuss on platforms like this. Now, before we continue with this discussion, I would like us to make a few things clear here. Now, the purpose of this platform that I have created is to be of a service. Now, if you look at the dictionary, if you look at the dictionary definition of a service, now the Oxford Dictionary defines a service as the action of helping or doing work for someone. Now, the motivation of tonight's topic is to do exactly that: to educate, to stimulate, and for us to have a continuous discussion in this public domain. If you decide, however, to take part in our discussion tonight, I would like you to come to the table with solutions by being mutually respectful and have an open mind. Now, in tonight's service, I will be discussing three themes. Now they are directly linked to the story that broke on Sunday. Now, I have divided this into three different themes. Now, the very first theme I'd like us to look at tonight is the distancing of brands. Now, as we all know, the celebrity Somizi has been around for a long time now. Now, Somizi is a judge on South African Idols, and is also a radio presenter at Metro FM. I think I can mention that. Now, since the explosive story broke in the Sunday tabloid, none of these brands came out with a statement immediately to condemn Somizi's behavior. However, today on Twitter, Somizi said that he is condoning, he's stepping down from his role as a broadcaster at Metro FM, and thus he's taking leave. But the biggest question I'm sitting with is, why would a big brand, an international brand like Idols SA, not come out and say, listen, yeah, we distance ourselves from Somizi because of the allegations that he's facing? And that raises a lot of questions, and I'd like you to take part in this. What do you think of Idols SA that is not condoning Somizi's behavior, and that is actually just tagging along with this whole thing? Do you think that this would damage the brand of Idols SA, or do you think one would just Or do you think it's they don't worry about things like that? And because if you look at, if you go back into history, now in 2011, Tamara Lowe was asked not to return to the platform or to Idols because she reportedly appeared drunk on camera. And Garrett Cliff, who was also asked not to come back to the Twitter stage, to the Idol stage, because of tweets he made. So if Idol's essay made examples of those two people, what makes Somizi such a special person that they can't tap him over the fingers and say, listen here, Somizi, we think you should go home and rest? I mean, what makes him? Is it because he's a celebrity? Is it because he brings all these viewers to the platform? So what weight does he actually carry? And can one really manage can one play with the reputation of a brand if you with a person? So I mean, and that's where I actually have a problem with brands that make people their brand ambassadors, and that's, I think, a topic for another day. So I'd just like to know what's your take on it. I'd like you to actively take part in this conversation by dropping me your comment, and just let me know. I mean, what do you think? Is this what this is all about? Those people watching from YouTube, you can just hit the subscribe button, and you could also just comment on the comment section there. That is at the bottom of your screen at the moment, and yeah, let's take this conversation further. In moving on, now this is one of the biggest problems I currently have in South Africa. I wouldn't say in South Africa as such, but I think it's a worldwide problem or a phenomena that we always have these people that make homophobic responses to male queer violence. Now, various media houses ran with the story on either their Facebook or their Twitter pages. Now, in preparation for tonight's show, I read through most of those comments on the pages, and I was literally shocked. In fact, I was disgusted by things that people utter on social media based on their narrow perspectives of life. The derogatory word "muffy" or "stubborn" came up in so many comments. One person even jokingly commented that it's just two men fighting. I even saw some religious comments that were made. People conveniently cherry-picking the Bible and using the scriptures to justify their own beliefs. So, in their defense, I have to defend this. I mean, we have to be open-minded about this, as I said in the start of this show. In their defense, our constitution allows for them for all these freedoms that we currently have. But the problem I have with that is, yes, you can say anything on your social media pages. It's yours. I mean, at the end of the day, one person said to me, it's my data. It's my phone. It's my device, for example. And I just thought to myself, okay, let's rather not get into a debate on that one. Now, as a South African, shouldn't we ask ourselves the question, where is humanity? Where is humanity for our African brothers and sisters? Where is the love, as the Black Eyed Peas sing so fondly? So, society has this thing where whenever it is gay people that end up in these public spats, they always have these things to say. And in a way, that bothers me. I would like to know, what is your comment on that? Does it bother you? Or do you just brush it, you just sweep it under the carpet? Or do you think it's time that we should speak up about these things? But my thing is just, let's just quickly just think further. If we had to change the gender roles between the current Sumizi and Mohale topic now, and let's just change it quickly to heterosexual couple. And let's say there was a domestic abuse case. The female went to the newspapers and she reported this thing, and it blew up on Twitter and it went on to the newspapers, etc., etc. Do you think that South Africans or people, you in particular watching this, do you think you would have had the same response that we see on Twitter and on Facebook with all these derogatory comments that are being made? Or do you think we would have seen people nipping those comments in the butt? It's like saying, listen, yeah, you can't be making comments like that. That's not on, if this person was a woman. I personally think that you would have seen Batabile Dlamini and the ANC Women's League coming out and making a statement. I mean, there would be marches. It would be a hashtag, stop women abuse, etc., etc. Now, I have an opinion on this, and this is just my opinion. Now, I think that male survivors and victims of abuse move a smaller number of people. So what I'm saying is that females get more attention, but if a male had to go to a police station and report domestic violence, he wouldn't get the same respect. He wouldn't get the same attention. Because I think our paradigm shift has changed so much that females do get all the attention when it comes to domestic disputes in this regard. And I was just thinking about this thing, and I had a conversation with a friend, and we actually came to the conclusion that doesn't this remind you of George Orwell's novel Animal Farm, where he says all animals are equal, but certain animals are more equal than others. So, I mean, yes, I understand the gender roles between a male and a female. Women always drew on the shorter end of the straw. But now I think we're in that position where we should have equal rights. And whether you're gay, straight, bisexual, transsexual, name it. I think if you are a human being, you should get the same treatment for if you had to go to a police station, or if you had to go to social media in order to raise your alarm or your voice if you're unhappy about something. So, and that's just my take on the homophobic responses to male queer violence. Yeah, good. I'd like to know what you think. Now, the next topic I'd like to look at is, or the final topic, in fact, is Maahalas' decision to go public with this story. I personally cannot imagine driving someone off the road or rushing to get to the kitchen for a knife, which to threaten your lover when the lover wants to leave me. I'm sure it must have been horrible for Maahalas to be in a relationship like that, where you are being threatened with violence. I mean, your ribs are being broken. I mean, your car's being ran off the road, etc., etc. But I do not agree with the way he handled this thing. To me personally, as I said previously, you do not wash your dirty laundry in public, unfortunately. But I mean, that is a thing that we can debate at the end of the day. It's just not my opinion. It could be your opinion as well. I mean, you could have a different opinion to this. But I think if you have a domestic case and you decide not to go to the police, then you do not run to the media, you do not run to the newspapers, and you do not try to seek attention. And I know a lot of people are now going to say that, how can I say that Maahalas is just seeking attention? Let's just quickly go back to the start of this relationship. And this is purely my opinion. I mean, you might have a different opinion. When Sumizi announced their relationship, he was not comfortable I don't know whether you've noticed, he was not comfortable being on screen, on TV. He wasn't comfortable in newspaper interviews, etc. And that to me just raised a lot of questions about him and his motives for being with Somizi. So I think he used Somizi as his personal platform, as a stepping board, in order to get to a place where he wanted to be. So he came, and this is going to sound a bit harsh, but he came onto the scene as a nobody. He piggybacked on Somizi for fame and as well as for fortune. And as a result of Somizi, he now has a huge Twitter following, a huge social media following. I mean, he could just get jobs left, right, and center. I mean, like, he's now the face of Finery Gin as well. And so my thing is just that his association to Somizi actually gave him a step up in life. And to me, that clearly shouts toxic, a toxic relationship in its purest form. Now, guys, let's just quickly wrap up what we've discussed about so far tonight. Now, abuse and violence are wrong, and there must be consequences to it. And I think that Idol's essay should take Somizi off air, because these allegations are serious. I mean, it could just damage the brand identity of Idols. Because, I mean, I could just decide I'm not going to watch Idols anymore because they just sweep things up under the carpet when it comes to Somizi. And so I think brands must be open to that. I'm not open to it. I mean, they must be more proactive in terms of condoning these things. And that's what we want as the public. We want brands to come out and say, listen, yeah, we do not agree with what happened. And that's why we're distancing ourselves from this celebrity or this person. And I think that is definitely the right way to go. Now, the court of public opinion has already found Somizi guilty of what he did. Now, these were just allegations. Because if you read that article, it's just one-sided. It is just Maahalas' tale of what happened. Somizi never came out and said, listen here, I'm disputing this, that, or the other claim. So, I mean, as I always say, there are three sides to a story. It's your side, my side, and the truth. Now, we have to wait for Somizi to come out once he's happy with the legal advice that he's received, and let's see where this thing goes. Now, tonight, I would like us to think about the following thing as well. Now, we as the public should start by taking gay and queer relationships seriously. All marriages in South Africa are seen as equal. Now, just think about this. The Department of Home Affairs issues the same marriage certificate to both gay and straight couples. There are no pink or blue colored paper whenever you get married. It all looks the same. It's all above board. So in saying this, a very violent queer husband should be treated equally to a heterosexual husband. And he should actually suffer the same consequences as any other person. Now, the law should apply to everyone, and as our constitution clearly states, the law, we are all equal in front of the law. So, guys, what I'm trying to say with this is that with all these comments that I talked about earlier on, that we see on social media, and people making fun of this situation, in my opinion, I just think it is tasteless for you to be living under a shell in 2021. I think it's not on. Is it because we are so used to heterosexual marriages only, and we don't want to move on and acknowledge that there are gay relationships, there are lesbian relationships or marriages? I mean, it's all the same. And we need to change our mindset. And that is just the way I think. And I mean, you might have a different approach to this, but that is in the way I see things. That is just my argument for this point. And I'd like to know, what do you think, or what would be your counter response to my take on gay relationships not being taken seriously, especially by straight men. And yeah, I said it. And that's where the problem actually comes in. We just need to be a bit more acceptable and understanding and have respect, mutual respect for each other. I mean, I think it's also important for us as men, whether you are gay, straight, bisexual, transsexual, demisexual, metrosexual, whatever you associate yourself with, to talk about our learned capacity of violence. I mean, a lot of us could associate with a lot of those paragraphs that we see in that article that we read. I mean, you could be in you could be in one of these toxic relationships. And you could actually, if you read that newspaper article, you could identify, let's say, for example, paragraph 9 or paragraph 50. And you could just think to yourself, yeah, I am in a toxic relationship. But what do? Do you leave the relationship and move on? Do you stay for the sake of staying and for the benefit most probably associated to it? Or do you go to the police station and make a case if you have been abused physically? So I think we need to really think about these things. And as I said previously as well, that there are ways and means of handling these things. But one thing that I want us to take away from this, if you are open to it, is not to wash your dirty laundry in public. I don't think the public domain is a space for you to wash your dirty laundry in. I think things like that should be handled in your own private capacity, in your own space, in your safe space as a home. I mean, deal with the topic. Don't go out there and as people always say, there's this thing that I used to love on Facebook. They always used to say that, don't face your problems, don't Facebook your problems. And I think that is exactly what Maahalas did. He Facebooked his problems. And that created unnecessary stir. Now, as a result of that, Somizi could be losing his income. He could be losing his status that he has worked so long for in coming on. And in saying all of these things, I'm not taking any sides, as you can take away from this conversation. I looked at both sides, and I think there's definitely a problem. But in saying that, I'm also saying that Somizi is not a demigod, and Maahalas is no angels. In the words of Batabile Dlamini, she said, we all have our little Smolinyana skeletons. So let's continue this discussion next week, or on whatever page you're watching, whether you are streaming from YouTube tonight. If you're streaming on YouTube, don't forget to just press the subscribe button. And if you're on Facebook, leave me a comment and we could take this further. So guys, yeah, as you can see, I'm not in my usual location. I'm in Kabeja tonight. And yeah, so I'll see you next week, Sunday, for a chat. I'll be posting all the details up during the course of this week. So enjoy the rest of your evening and thank you for your time.